All right, here we go. The recording has just started. Welcome everyone to this fourth call for the OpenCovid19 Initiative. Very happy to see you all. It's been, again, a very hectic week, and we have many news to share with you. And so to remind you, if you want to provide an update for your project, please go to the Google Doc, which is the agenda of the call, to put your name and your project in the section of project updates. And this way I'll be able to call you. So first of all, I think it's been, since that's the last call, it's been quite an incredible improvement. We've been mostly working on the structuration of the initiative, and I have to say I'm completely amazed by the community engagement and work on this part. We have so many working groups, so many people working on improving the global structuration and engagement systems and processes for everyone in this community. And so we'll hear more about those groups during this call when I will be coding for them, and they will give you some updates on what they've been working on. So before that, I think I'd like to call for, let's say, the usual update on the community. And Mark Santoni, are you here? Yes, so Mark, who is co-founder of JOGL, has mostly been working also on analyzing the global dynamics of the JOGL community and the community on this initiative. And it's very insightful also to have this point of view. So thank you, Mark. Could you inspire us?
Yes, sure. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a few slides. So for those who don't know me, do you see my slides?
Yes.
Great. So I'm the co-founder and CSO, or Director of Science of JOGL. And I'm also a researcher on the side. So I have a team looking at collaboration dynamics in online communities and in teams doing science. And I actually have some collaborators in the call. So it's great to see those faces. So we have a meta-study team, and there's a channel in the Slack dedicated to that. So I put the hashtag here, the program meta-study team. And we're trying to look at the data generated on JOGL, the data on the Slack, to understand the community, map the resources, map the community, better understand its organization, and better understand how we can design better recommendation systems to help the community find the resources that they need for the various projects. So for the Slack data, we have a sub-channel that is dedicated only to Slack data analysis. We're trying to visualize and analyze the community and the way it's organized on Slack. In terms of Slack activity, it's not the whole JOGL community, but we have already more than 700 active members on the Slack of the community, and it's steadily growing, at least for the past week or 10 days. We've had 3 calls already, and it's interesting to see that the number of messages exchanged have been growing, and after the 3rd call, it's been actually steady. So it's a bit like igniting a car, you know, like you're putting the starter, and the 3rd call, we made it. Like we're beginning to have a steady state of the community organization, which is quite beautiful to see. And 2/3 of the activity is public, so it's also a very open a place of exchange, and that's also stabilized for the past week now. So there's a steady state, in a way, of the community. We began looking at some networks of how that community has organized. So here I show you the full network of interaction of how people have interacted on the Slack. It allows to see some, also emerging leadership of very active people. I'm thinking about Hernan, who's actually more active than Thomas. Sorry, Thomas.
Good. I'm happy.
There's many metrics, so we're going to find one metric. And actually, the AI project is definitely a very active project. If we filter a bit that network by the most active links, we see emerging like 4 or 5 different aspect of this community, a coordination team, a dev team, the AI project, the bio-related people around here, communication team, and the meta study. So we're beginning emerging at least the program aspect and the structure of the program with some local nodes, but not a star leadership. It's really a distributed network, which is quite nice to see as well. And our very Kat is the top insider. So that's the person you want to connect to if you want to access any other person in the network. And so we see that it's a graded thing. So you have people from JOGL, but you see that there's also a lot of people from the community that are emerging as people that give you access to the rest of the community. We also are analyzing the survey data that was actually done in the forms that were done by people when they subscribed to the program. And that allows us to map a bit the expertise and the skill sets of the community. This is something we're working on to better have a visualization of really a map of where these skills are and how we can access them being somewhere in the community. But you see a lot of bioengineering, synbio, design, software. So there's really the data science and the bio parts and the software development part that are coming together in this community. And finally, we also launched another channel around the design of recommendation system to ease the process of the community by bringing needs and bringing recommendations on projects to people so that we can better use JOGL as a platform that helps people connect needs and resources. And for that, we're working with two researchers from a laboratory in Paris specialized in designing recommendation systems for these heterogeneous networks where you have projects, people, needs, and where you need to design the next link. So what are you going to be proposed or be notified about? And what's nice with this special algorithms that we're inputting is that it's specially designed to enhance diversity and avoid the existence of echo chambers and of bubbles. And it's something we want to really kind of put forward in the design is how do we avoid to get back to the flows that we've seen in other social networks. So if you want to know more about that part, because I don't want to take a long time here in that call, we have a meeting Friday, 6 p.m. That's our regular meeting. We also begin to have now sub-meetings for some subgroups. So if you want to know more, I can for sure guide you towards one of the other subgroups. And we still have really room for help around the data viz, the network visualization dashboard part, or the social science part to better configure this program. So that's all on my end, and you're welcome to join on Friday.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much for the update. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's still continuing to grow, but now we have better understanding of the complexity of the diversity of the community. It's really beautiful to see. And as the community is growing and the number of projects are growing too, and when you look at the type of projects that are there are a lot of them that are really done outside usual institutions. And so that's one part of the goals of JOGL is to welcome non-institutional contributors, or to do actually science in a non-institutional way, but also to enable this. Having a platform is not usually enough. It's like, how do we provide resources? And how do we not only share resources between members of this community and make those resources visible, but also how can we provide also resources such as funding, for example, more easily, especially for projects that would not normally be eligible to because they're too young or they're not actually being hosted by university or startup. So in that case, we've been talking a lot with the AXA Research Fund, and it's a branch of the AXA group which is funding research in general. And so we decided actually to make a partnership together to be able to help advance this initiative. And so I'm very, very happy to say and to announce that we'll be able actually to fund 100,000 euros of projects starting this week. We'll be announcing the whole project review process in the next few days, but that's a huge, huge, huge news for the Open COVID-19 initiative, as this funding is going to provide help for local initiatives that are, that needs to buy consumables or materials to actually do the prototyping and experimentations. And so that will be cut in very small grants of between 500 euros and 2,000 to 3,000 euros. And so it would be able actually to provide this to any person in the world. So that's the goal. So you'll hear much more about this in the next few days. So this is very exciting news. The next part is, as I was saying in the very beginning of this conversation, we have so many fabulous contributors within this community that are working on the different aspects of what makes such a program work and successful. And so we have people such, Mark presented the meta study group, but we have so many other ones, the communications, the development team, the governance team, the biosafety board, and then the new project review board too. And so I'd like to call first for the communication group. Who would like to speak for the communication group and tell us more about what you've been working on? If someone is here. Or maybe
yeah, I'm here.
Yes, thank you, David.
Hear a little bit about what the communications team has been up to. So I mean, I guess for the past week we've been kind of trying to solidify the kind of structure we want for our group. We also have people who are trying to connect with project leads, and I think something that we want to do is to collect updates from each project. And I think we will also probably start posting on our social media sites and exploring other platforms as well in the near future. So that's kind of like the gist of what we're doing.
Thank you, David. Would you like to make maybe a call? Like, do you need specific help or do you need specific information?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to help, we're definitely like welcome to anybody. We do have a call this Friday at 6 p.m. Central European time. So yeah, anybody's welcome to join.
Awesome. So if you're looking for the communication group, they have a specific channel in the Slack called Program Communication Team. The next group, so we already heard of the meta study group. I don't know if, do you want to add anything, Mark? I don't think it's necessary.
No, I think Friday, 6 p.m.
Right. So next is the development team. Leo, do you want to speak up?
Sure. So, all right. So we had our first community call last Friday at 8 p.m. and we're going to have another one this Friday at 8 p.m. where we basically try to see how to organize the developers around the different projects that are on the platform and how to best help the community by developing tools, in particular Just One Giant Lab, the platform as a tool to help this community. So there was a lot of really good feedback, especially in terms of making the process of how to help much easier, among which was to create easy items that people can take actions upon, which has been done now, along with a huge rewrite of the documentations and things like this. So there's basically a lot of effort has been put into best practice of open communities and open community engagement in terms of how to contribute and things like this. So I invite anyone that is interested to check out the new README, for example, or to come and chat with us on the dev channel. I know a lot of developers have been working also on the different projects that are around, especially the Cough AI app has been gathering a lot of attention. Beyond this, in terms of dev, there's not that much more, except that JOGL platform has a few new additions, and one that is quite important is the resource. So now everybody on the platform can add resources that they have. for example, 3D printers or access to a biolab space or time, you know, like any sort of resource you actually have and you can share, is now, you just have to go on your profile, edit your profile like you would normally do, and add the resources you have. But not only that, you can also add resources onto a need. So that's the reverse, is I'm a project and I need something. Something could be a biolab space. You can add now a resource to that need. And this is basically going to help us later this week finish the development of our matchmaking, you know, like or matchmaking system, where by the end of the week, normally you'll be able to like look up stuff on JOGL being like, I need this, and you'll find users, projects, groups that have those resources or skills that you're looking for in a much, much more streamlined and easy manner, so that you know, everybody can, from the community, can basically find people or find projects or find, you know, stuff to do. Yeah, so that's kind of the update on our side.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Leo. This is going to be extremely useful as we're seeing more and more initiatives trying to map all existing resources, for example, for 3D printers or for lab access, among others. And it's been difficult so far to really be able actually to have a comprehensive list and access to not only those people. So, you know, the list so far were on Google Sheets, for example, you know, Google Documents. It doesn't make it very easy. So we really hope that this is going to make the work much more easier, especially when, you know, when we have converged toward commonly accepted protocols or designs. And if we have to share those protocols and projects to many local initiatives, we know to who to speak, basically. So if you have access to such resources, don't hesitate actually to go on JOGL and update your profile with those resources. That would be very useful in the near future. The next group is the governance group. Why governance? Because we have so many things going on, so many kind of people, so many kind of activities that we need to have a seamless process to make sure that information is not lost, is not duplicated. And so we have an awesome group of people working on that. Who would like to speak up about for the governance group? Do we have anyone from this group here? I think I see you, Camille.
But if anyone wants to speak as well, I'm very happy to share the mic. Maybe just briefly, and then someone can take over, because this is not a top-down governance body, but very inclusive and open to any contribution. As Thomas said, our goal is just to try to facilitate everyone's work. I know like many people are working really hard in this community to make things happen, and we try our best to actually facilitate their work. So this is why like the governance body provides guidelines, also a full wide range of solution, of like also propose decision model that could be applied. Nothing is has to be applicable, but yeah, if I have to make one call, is we have drafted a governance 0.2 document, and I'd like to encourage the whole community to review it. Yeah, and anyone who wants to join this group, please reach out to us. It's like people that are fantastic. I've learned so much working with them. So yeah, I'm just, please join us if you want.
So you can find thank you so much, Camille. You can find more information in the Slack again. You go to the program governance team there directly. It's an open channel. Then we have the biosafety board, very important, as we want to make sure that people, member of this committee knows, how to perform experiments, what are the limits to what is considered safe or not, especially as we're working with bio materials, or we're working potentially on like equipment that could be applied to patients. So the role of the biosafety board has been really there to formalize some guidelines to help you understand all those matters. And so we have a great group of people that have joined up to work on those aspects. And so who would like to speak up for the biosafety board? All right, go ahead, Ellen. Thank you.
Well, Patrick and Rachel and whoever else, if Jenny's on, jump in. We've got a really nice first draft document, which I think is almost ready to go for the guidelines. And it's been very collaborative, and it's drawn on the efforts of a lot of the people in the past who have been doing guidelines for community labs and other guidelines from all over the world. And it is just a guideline. I mean, that's the thing, is that every country is going to be different. Basically, we're telling you to be respectful of your country's laws and don't do anything that would be illegal in your country. And then providing a little bit more fleshing out of what's safe and what's not safe, because we do have a wide variety of experience participating in this. So we're trying to be helpful. And then also a link to, we have an actual Slack channel where you can ask questions. Patrick, you want to jump in, or Rachel?
Yeah, I could say something. Yeah, it's really been a good experience putting these documents together, and also seeing from Jenny some of the DIY bio groups efforts that have already put other biosafety things together. From Hackarium, we only have a P1 lab, and it's clear that for many of the tests we would like to replicate, we would like to have, well, we can do some things in BSL1, the lowest level biosafety, but it's really great to see that there are some people that have access to a higher level labs with better safety, because we want everyone to stay safe.
Right. We have a question from Adam that asks, are we defining bright lines which define the absolute limits of what is to be done under the JOGL banner, regardless of if it is legal or not? We may have our own ethical constraints. Yeah, I think it's a good point, and we want to be both legal and ethical, right? So I think that's what those are the lines that this board is following.
This is Patrick. It's also important to keep in mind that there's if there's press articles out there talking about biohackers messing with dangerous pathogens, that can be a serious risk to our community as well. That's right.
That's right. We don't want to mislead people. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Patrick and then Rachel. The next group is the project review group. So this is very new, as we're mostly actually putting it in place because we'll have to deliver grants to projects. But it also makes sense not only for grants, but also because as we're actually receiving more and more projects, it's becoming potentially harder and harder for newcomers to understand what are the very much active projects compared to others. Like how do you actually choose, between a project and another? And so, so we want to make sure that the most active and most promising project, that use actually this community approach the most, are rewarded, by being actually put in front of others. And so the idea is to create a review process where we ask project about, their state of advancement and stuff like that. But do we have someone? I think Victoria. Would you like to speak for the project review board? That would be fantastic.
I think what we're trying to do is make sure that we have a system in place that has as much inclusion from the community in terms of feedback, so that these projects can move forward with or without funding to their utmost potential. And then we're trying to put together panels of experts to do a proper peer review. So we're looking for team members, both experts and folks that are interested in building out this process. You can find us in our channel. I think it's just, what is it? I don't even know what it's, the funding.
It's called Program Project Review.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the backup. Find us there and join the discussion. We have a few great people that have already started contributing to the process and the document, and we could use some more input.
Thank you, Victoria. And again, you'll hear much more about this in the next few days as we are drafting the whole process for the grant application. All right, now we are coming to the project updates part. And so we're going to hear about a few of the projects. Again, if you want to speak up and give an update about what you've been doing, don't hesitate to go to the agenda of this call. It's in the chat. I've put the link in the chat, and then put your name on the document, and then I'll call you when it's your turn. So next, the first project we want to hear about, it's from Diana Renteria and Pauline Chan. And so would you like to speak up about the updates you want to share?
So I believe I brought up in the global call last week about any initiatives for, I'm thinking people who are either students or like early career who may not have developed the skill set of many professionals and experts, and to see efforts that they can help. So Diana was really pushing forward towards a mentorship program within JOGL. So I think what we came to was, okay, so let's get a survey out to actually get some feedback from people and see what they think about it. So right now we have two surveys. We have one for people who we would consider quote unquote mentors, so people who would comfortably say they are an expert in their field or have been in an industry and had experience for a long time, versus people who are either students and still learning like their trade, or people like me who are early career, and they will be a quote unquote mentees category. So we did send out the poll to, I believe, governance and meta study for feedback, and we haven't heard any concerns so far. So I'm actually thinking we would like to put that in like announcements or in like the project and all challenge, etc. channels today to start gathering data. One thing I do want to emphasize is that we don't think that mentorship is the end all for interactions between early career and late career professionals or students. So we've also included a section for any suggestions that you might have to group that may not be an expert in Python, or they may not be a flow cytometry wizard, but they have the motivation and they have the passion to jump in and help with a project. I also do want to add, I also know we have many very young people in our group that have taken the initiative in JOGL, and it's amazing to see. And I think what we also want to look into is, are people who may want to take initiative but maybe feel overwhelmed, or are not sure where to start or where they could fit in. And so I really want to I think it's really important to have some sort of forum or place for this group of people. It raises our collective intelligence. It makes everyone stronger as a whole. And I think that covers it. So I'm going to probably message Kat to roll out the survey today, and I would really love it if people could give their feedback as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Pauline, for this group, for this work, and you, Diana. What would be the main point for people to reach you if they want to help? Do you have a specific Slack channel?
We don't have a specific Slack channel yet. I'm hoping that once we get the data's in and we can take a look at it, we can probably develop a Slack channel for what we decide to do on going forward. For those of you who have seen me last week, you will notice I tend to be in these very small projects starting out that don't need like new that are not at the point where they're ready to expand, but I am confident that maybe a couple weeks down the line we'll start looking for new people. So that's I just wanted to plug this out there and really ask people to fill out the survey. It is so important. There's never such a thing as too much information. There's only the limitations of what you want and can do with it.
Thank you. So what I will do is with Kat, we will post the survey again in the announcement channel of the Slack so that it's visible by everyone.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to you. So the next project is the mask project, and especially the open source mask design challenge. And so we have a group of people, Antonio, Peter, and Eric, and Adam also, who've been very much working on making this happen. Could you tell us more about what's going on? Who would like to speak up?
Yeah, I can give a brief sum up of what the project has been so far. So we've been contacted, and we basically answered a very urgent request, which is originally came from France, but we know for sure is also going to come from other places in Europe and possibly in the world, which is the need for medical masks, both surgical masks and FFP graded masks, so the ones that can prevent you from inspiring, maybe breathing is best term, pathogens, and also face shields. So we thought the best way to respond to this request was to gather all the designs that are currently present in the internet, and we know of many Facebook groups which already sent out lots of designs, and so we made the spreadsheet in order to gather all these designs, and it quickly, in a matter of 3-4 days, it quickly filled very impressively, and the deadline was yesterday, so the first phase of the project is now over, and we have more than 50 designs. The next phase, and that is actually something that is very appropriate to address the whole community about, is the selection phase. Of course, we're going to select the best designs among the nearly 50 we've gathered so far in 3 categories. So surgical masks, FFP masks, if you will, and face shields. And so what the methodology we were thinking about was sending out a survey to all those people who might have specific competencies in order to make an evaluation of the designs. So we will let you know more about this later when we sent out this call basically to take part in the survey. And so what the next phases would be after we decide the best designs would be start a prototyping and testing phase, and then sending the best designs to the appropriate authorities in order for them to be evaluated and approved for medical use. So we're looking for designs that can be actually used in the medical environment, and so are compliant to the standards. Now, both Adam, Peter, and Eric, with Thomas, are being involved in this project. So if anyone wants to step in, please do.
Thank you, Antonio. And so if you want to join this project, it's in the Slack channel called Project Mask. You also have the JOGL project, the project page. You can join directly also. And just to give you a bit of the perspective, just in APHP, which is basically all the Association of All Hospitals in Paris, they're using about between 150 to 200,000 surgeon masks a day, and about 30,000 FFP2 masks a day. So the goal here is really not only to design masks that can be manufactured locally by individuals because they have a 3D printers or because they can sew. That can help. But when we look at the numbers, we need actually to have designs that can be massively manufactured by the industry, especially because they have access to a distribution network. And so this is very important. Has the collective intelligence has been amazing around those projects, and having so far in a few days already 50 different projects, designs is really amazing. So now we really have to put them apart and say, okay, what is rubbish, what is good, and even like, can we actually fuse designs together and have something that is really good. So if you're interested in joining, please go to the project page on JOGL and on the Slack too.
Thomas, I have a question about the mask project. Could you maybe give a brief timeline of the next steps so that if people wants to get involved, they know when to get involved or not?
Question, Kemi, thank you. So as Antonio said, the first phase has been done yesterday. It was the collecting phase, and now we're entering the evaluation phase. So it's a first evaluation where we'll be sending a survey to all the community, the JOGL community, but also outside, and we'll be inviting you also to share this survey also to your own network, so that we have as much people reviewing the current designs as possible. That will enable us to just actually have an understanding, okay, what are the most promising designs? And as Antonio said, the goal is to take maybe like the best 15 designs, manufacture them, and then test them on the field. And then we have a better understanding what is really good or not. And then if we just select maybe like the 5 best designs, and we go to the authorities to have an authorization. And that once we have the authorization, we can actually send that to manufacturers. So in terms of agenda, I think the first phase of evaluation is going to finish this weekend. And then this weekend we have a better understanding of what do we want to send to fab labs or people that wants to manufacture those masks at a single level, let's say, single piece level. And then beginning of next week, we'll have actually people testing those, sharing their results, their impression. We are looking also for companies that can test the efficiency of filtration. This is not a trivial thing to test. So if you know companies that can do that, please share it with us, because otherwise we'll be testing for comfort and for durability and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it, basically. The next project that I'll be inviting to speak is Free Jeans. Keone, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello.
So, what Free Jeans? A review of Free Jeans for anyone who is new here. Free Jeans is a project founded by the BioBricks Foundation, working out of Drew Endy's lab at Stanford University, whose goal is to distribute free and open source DNA to the world. And so really our specialties are DNA synthesis and DNA distribution. What we've worked on in the last week mainly is making sure that there are making sure that we can distribute expression vectors for all the necessary enzymes to do most detection tests with quite widely. And so these include PCR enzymes and reverse transcriptases. By the end of the week, we will probably have expression vectors with validation and optimizations on their purification ready to go. So early next week, we can start shipping those to people who may want to express their own enzymes to do broader testing. The main reason to express your own enzymes is that you can produce a lot of them. Orders of magnitude cheaper than you can perhaps buy them from NEB with the same efficiency. And hopefully that would enable, with a smaller amount of capital, to do a lot more testing for a lot more people who normally would not get access to these types of tests, even the best tests such as RT-PCR. So if you're interested in not just becoming a if you're not interested in using them, which most people aren't, but are interested in receiving them so that anyone in your network who might need them can get them, we would be more than happy to ship you all the enzymes necessary to do that. We would ship it for free, and we would give you multiple copies, and all you would have to kind of acknowledge is that if somebody needs it in your network or in your local nation or country, that you would ship it out to them basically for free. And you don't have to be a biologist to take part in this program. Anyone can with a freezer. We're planning on shipping out for these tests raw DNA with expression vectors or some dehydrated cells. And we'd really like to start getting those into multiple countries so that customs doesn't hamper us later if it's needed in a certain location. Since we have a pretty good wrap on expression vectors for these kinds of diagnostic detection enzymes, we're starting to look into distribution of positive controls and primer sets that have been validated by other people, but bulk synthesis. So instead of ordering, a small tube of lamp primers just for yourself, we would be ordering these in bulk, thousands, tens of thousands of reactions worth, aliquoting them out, and then doing a redistribution so that everybody has the same starting materials and positive controls. So that should be coming out next week, and we would also be happy to send that to anybody who'd be willing to share it within their local network. We're really trying to be a distributor, but we want for those edge distribution cases of people at the very edges of our communities to have access to those. So if you know perhaps someone in a lab that is licensed to do to purify recombinant enzymes for diagnostic tests, perhaps you can get them those vectors by getting them from us. We also have a collaboration going on with Ginkgo Bioworks. Ginkgo is synthesizing all of the COVID-19 ORFs in yeast expression, bacterial expression, and perhaps human expression vectors in order to develop tests against them. And so we will be distributing those out once Ginkgo finishes synthesis. So anyone in a diagnostic type of laboratory or a development laboratory developing treatments or antibodies to get those proteins for free in expression vectors. Those we might not be sending out as raw DNA. We'll probably be sending those out on cells, so we can't distribute them as widely as the detection and diagnosis enzymes. So those are the general updates with Free Genes. If you would like to learn more, you can visit the Free Genes channel on the Slack, and I will also probably be putting out a poll on the Free Genes Slack if anyone would like to be a downstream distributor to help with their local areas to get just the basic expression vectors that you can just throw in your freezer.
Thank you so much, Keone. This is awesome. One thing I could propose is maybe you can also add a JOGL page, like a group, for example, for the Free Gene project, so that you can put also your needs and your resources, so that you can make a call, for example, to the JOGL community there in the larger spectrum. I think that would be useful, especially when we'll be actually putting in place the maps, for resources.
Will do.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tom. Also, thanks for everybody for being here. It's a great civil duty to help out on this outbreak.
Thanks, Kenny.
I have a very naive question for people who are not specialists, which I include myself in this group. How far can you send it? Like, I mean, if you need a freezer, I believe like maybe a 6-day trip. I don't know. How far can you reach the entire world?
When we distribute in plasmid vectors, they should be stable enough at room temperature for 6 days. So we could reach the entire world. It's kind of unknown how much they degrade over time. They know that plasmid vectors are pretty good in a freezer for years. I've personally gone back to plasmid stocks that are 5 years old and have no problem as long as they're frozen. And I've also recovered plasmid easily from more than a month sitting at room temperature. So they're fairly stable.
Yeah, room temperature. Yeah, okay. So for instance, I know, like, you know, COVID-19 is getting worse and worse in sub-Saharan Africa. And I was wondering, in that particular case, when you can have high temperature along the way, high humidity level, how that could be, if that could reach there.
So I believe it should be able to reach there even with high temperature levels. An expert in that field would be a collaborator, Jenny Malloy, who's working with the Open Bioeconomy Lab on local production of enzymes in like Africa, so in Cameroon and Ethiopia. And so she has probably a better understanding of that, and she might be on this call. But the enzymes should be able to get distributed. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. So the next project is the pressure cup emergency ventilator. Do we have someone from this project? Let me see. The person should be Aysen. Do we have Aysen here? I know she's walking a lot, and she told me she will be listening while walking, so maybe she's not hearing what I'm saying. So maybe we'll skip her turn and we come back to her later. You can find out more. It's one of the latest projects that have been put on the JOGL platform, and it's a project being done, I believe, in the Houston University in Texas, or close to it, and they're quite advanced. It's very interesting, and they're basically targeting in a very close agenda an authorization for use in hospitals. And so they will be looking for information regarding who will be ready to, once they have the authorization, to copy the design in various locations. So they will need also to understand what are the constraints in the hospital rooms. What she told me is that she needs to understand that are all hospital rooms, like in France, Italy, or elsewhere, have oxygen plugs or air plugs, stuff like that, because that could, if not, it could change the design and needs to be adapted. So she will be sending out, I think, a survey through JOGL to better understand that. And so we'll have to share this survey to our network in the hospital networks, basically. The next project is open source pharma. Do we have someone from open source pharma here? Let's see. Maybe not. Well, last time Jalil told us about how open source pharma was also working on the coronavirus. They're mostly a group based in India of scientists working so far mostly also on tuberculosis. But they have like a huge experience working on open source drugs. And so they were interested also working with this this community to better understand also more in an epidemiology point of view how the patients at home were behaving. So maybe we'll hear more about this project later. Next project is the Breezy ventilator. So do we have Adam or Bill?
Yeah, hi, this is Adam.
Hi.
I believe Bill, yeah, Bill, I can see Bill too.
Hello.
Yeah, so, hi. So, this, we've taken a challenge to try to prototype some ventilator, emergency ventilator, which would be like massively deployable. There is also the challenge this, but it is, I think, like the timing is impossible for the challenge because it ends in 6 days. So the first batch of of sensors I've ordered will arrive 1 day after the deadline. So I think we won't manage to make it until this challenge ends. But it doesn't mean that we stop working on this. So we are trying to we still don't have the concept finalized, because we are just trying to get some parts so we can experiment and so on. And we have also an idea. Also, there is Juraj here working on the project with us. So it was his idea to use Android or Apple devices as a display to the ventilator, because everyone has a smartphone, so it's easy to get one app, and this can provide a better display of online charts of, for example, the pressures and volumes being inspired or expired by the patient. So this is an idea which we would like to also share with other teams trying to make such a ventilator, so they don't maybe have to develop it on their own. And so Bill can tell us, because he's working on this app.
Yeah, hi everyone. Does this video? I'm new to a lot of these teleworking things. But anyway, yeah. So we're doing an Android application using a thing called Flutter, which means that it can port relatively easily to iOS. And everything is there's an open source repository. So if anyone wants to, follow along what we're doing, it's all very out in the open. So anyway, just that, and wanted to say hi to everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, so you have your project on JOGL, so you have your needs also. So don't hesitate actually to. I think what you're doing, guys, is really important. As as for the mass projects, it's very good to have like parallel efforts, and then we can merge those efforts to get like the best designs as possible. So please continue. This is great.
Yeah. Actually, I would like to thank you for the advice to post the need on JOGL, because this was the way how I found Bill and we started working together.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you so much again. So the next project, which is not really a project in the classical sense that we have here, it's Anup working on the UX UI of JOGL, as right now we are also working very hard on improving the global user experience. And so Anup will explain what he's working on. Anup, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so my name's Anup. I'm working on JOGL's UX and UI. Pretty boring time right now, I would say. Not much to update on. Just kidding. No, obviously there's a lot happening, a lot of growth, a lot of energy, a lot of newness happening every day, which is great. And so sort of in my capacity, I'm trying to make sure that you are able to do what you want to do on JOGL, what you need to do on JOGL as easily as possible. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of what that entails, your experience with JOGL so far, things that have caused you trouble, things you'd like to be able to do, improvements to current sort of functionalities, things that have worked well for you. In terms of sort of ways that y'all can get involved concretely, you can stay tuned to the #ProgramDesignTeam channel, where we'll start to become a little bit more active. Or reach me at Anoop, that's A-N-O-O-P, it's like Snoop with an A instead of an S, on Slack. And I'll put that information in the chat afterwards as well. Some of the things that are coming up, we'd like to organize a design sprint for this weekend. Just given sort of all the new stuff that's happening, that's going on. And we'll be sending out a little bit of a sort of just a form to determine some availability. And it would be nice to know if there's any background experience as well. And then also sort of on that channel, we'll be sending out requests for folks to test out some prototypes, fill surveys, do interviews when we're looking to determine how best to design new functionalities, things like that. So yeah, please just go ahead and keep posted on Slack. Again, that's the hashtag PRGM design team and Anoop, and I'll go ahead and post that here right now. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Anoop. The next project is called Quantified Flu. It's a project that is being led by the Open Humans Foundation. I believe that the lead of the project, Bastian, couldn't make it, so he actually wrote a description. Oh, you're here, Bastian?
Okay. He asked me to present in his stead.
Okay,
indeed.
Perfect.
It's linked to another news, actually, is that today we're officially announcing that we're, with JOGL, we received a grant from the Nesta Foundation, the Collective Intelligence Foundation, and it's in collaboration with Open Humans Foundation. And Bastian is actually attending the other meeting that is at the same time than this community meeting. And so Bastian has released a project on JOGL as well that is called Quantified Flu. And what they're doing is that they're trying to gather data from wearables and use that to predict symptoms. So in general flu, but in that particular context, the COVID. And so he actually told me some needs that they have. So I've put on the Google Doc the place where the project is, so Project Quantified Flu on the Slack. They have also a website. They need participants of people that have wearables and want to share the data that is collected along with symptom data. And they're looking for programmers that could add other data sources, so different types of wearables, front-end developers to help on their app, and just spreading the word around that this project exists.
Awesome, thank you, Mark. The next project is a community-based mass testing. Who would like to speak up for this project?
Hi, I'm Avi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very early stage. So this week, I'm just having one-on-ones with the other people that sort of this project emerged out of to sort of form a basic team. So that's sort of the need is in relation to anyone that's interested in forming the base team. But essentially, yeah, so the project is just at that stage. But the idea is, just using the example, came to the platform looking for open source detection mechanisms. So testing being one of the limitations in certain places, and wondering, well, if there's a great open source testing mechanism, who's going to actually implement that? So sort of trying to map out what are the infrastructures available in a particular region, and then also having a protocol for connecting to those people and trying to see what is the particularities of their site, what can they, so mapping them, surveying them, and seeing what they would be willing to offer in any particular context. And that might not be ready this crisis, but it might be next crisis. So that's the idea, and we're just having conversations at the moment. So thanks.
Awesome.
So I have a question, Avi, about that. So is the idea to try to make connections in the medical community to once some of these rapid and easy and inexpensive kits are validated, to go to the next step and try to figure out who are the people who are going to use those kits? Is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and I'll just note that right now the project is very UK centric, but that's because that's where we all come from and where we work. So yeah.
Great. I think that it would be great if you could also sync with maybe the dev team, because as there will be actually tools on JOGL that could be extremely useful to you for making your project happen.
Yeah, I invite you to contact me if you want, actually, because we're like JOGL has an open API, and we're trying to gather those sort of data from our users, project groups, and things like this. And so, you might want to plug in our API to add to your database, basically. Yeah, so just contact me. I'll be very happy to answer and chat with you.
Awesome. The next project is rapid coronavirus test case for Los Angeles. Who wants to speak up?
Hi.
Elliot.
Hi,
Yes.
everybody. So my name is Elliot Roth. I am a synthetic biologist and scientist, and have kind of been organizing a rapid response team in Los Angeles to get serological testing. These are tests that can be done in 15 minutes or less that use IgG, IgM as a detection basis. They are currently being used by the Chinese CDC and Korean CDC in order to do rapid testing, particularly in order to test on site. These can be performed by individuals on themselves. And so test kits are kind of being used to be shipped out and used as much as possible. These are tests that cost less than $10. In fact, the quotes that I got from our serological test suppliers are $7 or less, depending on how many we order at once. And so after seeing kind of the FDA and CDC fumbling over testing and expanding test capacity, I started working with some local financiers and investors to expand test capacity for all of Los Angeles, which is the most populous city in the United States. There is not enough tests available in the US whatsoever. In fact, California has only tested 325 people per 1 million residents. And that means that we need to expand test capacity incredibly rapidly. Otherwise, the virus and the outbreak will just grow uncontained and the entire world economy will be shut down. If you look at what China and South Korea have been doing to respond to the crisis, it's aggressive testing and then containment and isolation. These tests, because they're so cheap, can be performed multiple times to limit false negatives and false positives. In addition, any positive case, we've been working with other local test agencies to follow up with RT-PCR. Because serological tests aren't approved by the US FDA as of yet, this is being done as an independent action under the Good Samaritan laws of the United States. This means that I am doing this as an individual, not associated or affiliated with any organization, except for partner nonprofits that are helping with distribution and unions that are currently looking to purchase tests in order to test the safety and security of their workers. What I'm really looking for is additional help in bulk buying of these serological tests. I have a manufacturer that can scale to over 200,000 tests in the span of 3 to 4 days and is looking to ship within a week to the United States. What they're looking for is a bulk purchase so that we can get the test, basically the test monetary amount below a certain point that we can start distributing as many as possible. The only way that we're going to contain this or treat this is knowing where it is, and not knowing who has coronavirus or how it's spreading is not a good way of going about dealing with this as a disease. So I'm open for any questions, support, anything like that. If you want access to serological tests in your local area, my recommendation is to take action into your own hands, figure out a way to finance the purchase of these tests because the government is not acting fast enough.
Elliot, this is Patrick. I've heard various reports of tests being available on Alibaba.
Sorry,
Tests are actually real.
Sorry, Patrick, you're breaking up.
Okay. There's some concerns about tests that might be available on Alibaba and whether they are real or at least quality controlled.
Mm-hmm. So very good question. These tests I'm getting a sample of these tests within the next couple of days. They are tested on a positive control group. So the ex-mayor and mayor of our town here in California both tested positive for coronavirus. So there's political action and there is a sample positive control group to test these against.
Elliot, I would really be interested in the legal framework around this. You said Good Samaritan laws, but essentially selling anything without FDA approval is
These are not being
illegal.
sold. These are just being distributed.
So who is purchasing them from Alibaba or wherever?
These aren't being purchased from Alibaba. This is a direct wire from me as an individual to the company at cost, or in fact losing money.
Yeah, but you said something about unions buying them.
Yes, the unions themselves will help with distribution. So if the union, they want to, we're basically going to facilitate a connection from the union to the organization that is producing and manufacturing these tests. So if the union wants to do a bulk purchase for the members through the dues of the members, they're able to go about doing that. That's kind of up to the unions themselves. I'm working with the International Longshoremen's Workers Union, as well as the police union and the grocery union.
This is super interesting. I mean, you know, all of us want to find a quick test and distribute it immediately, but we're all, you know, aware that there are rules and regulations, and we don't want to either screw over the entire DIY community or get in trouble ourselves. So
this is not in conjunction with the DIY community or reference to any of it. I'm acting as an individual. If they want to send me to jail after the outbreak, they can feel free to do so.
Oh, jeez.
No, this is serious. Like you're completely right. And under the current legal framework, I don't know. I'm acting in good faith as a Samaritan because I see my local community in danger.
Well, any information that you get along the way about the legal hurdles that you might have to cross, we'd be interested in hearing.
I would love to have somebody try to prosecute me right now because it means that they're currently throwing up barriers to getting testing to people who need it the most.
All right, thank you. I think it would be very, very interesting to share also your learning along the way. Don't hesitate to update us on how it goes. I think you've put up a GoFundMe page.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
so the call to action right now is to just get enough funding to do the initial purchase order, which the more money, the less the tests themselves will cost, meaning the more tests that I'm able to just distribute for free.
All right. Thank you. We'll be following up with this. The last project we'll be hearing from is the reproducing NEB LAMP test protocol by Ellen. Ellen, can you speak about what you're doing?
Well, this segues really well into this. There's a paper that just came out from New England Biolabs. It's a LAMP test that is super easy. I mean, really all you really need, besides in terms of equipment, are a way to keep temperature reliably. So there's an inactivation step at 56 degrees Celsius for half an hour of a sample, and then that's followed by a LAMP reaction, and their New England Biolabs LAMP master mix is 65 degrees Celsius for half an hour. So, you know, all you really need is basically a water bath. Now, obviously, I'm not handling any clinical samples. You can buy the safe BSL-1 positive control plasmid, and also the primers for the LAMP reaction from DNA synthesis companies like IDT. And so I just want to see if with the positive control plasmid, it works in a completely, you know, situation where you don't really have very many resources. This is relevant, obviously, to places around the world that don't have very many resources. And I actually have a call with Keone afterwards to see whether or not the master mix can be reproduced and sent. I know that's what he was thinking. So it's an academic intellectual exercise at the moment.
How can we follow what you're doing, Ellen, on this LAMP?
I can actually start a project if someone hasn't started already. There's been a lot of chatter about this paper, so maybe we can start an actual project on JOGL just on this particular thing, just because it happens to be so so relatively easy to do.
Yeah, would be great, and maybe like a Slack channel too for people to discuss about it. Thank you so much, Ellen. Thank you so much, everyone. So I don't see
the other the other
please
thing
go.
is, sorry, the other thing is that they claim that you can do it with samples that are crude samples. You don't have to extract the RNA. That was the other attractive thing, although I obviously can't test that.
Yes, yes, that would be definitely great. Totally. So this is I don't see any more project on the list. So it's been actually quite fantastic to hear from all of you. You know, you've done all of you like great progresses, and so to during this call actually I was checking the JOGL people page, and actually during this call we actually passed the threshold of 3,000 users. So that's pretty great. And so to finish this call, the idea was to make a call to the community. We heard from the different working groups in the beginning of this call, but at the end maybe we can repeat what we need to re-advance. And so it's very important that we can hear from anyone who has access to resources, especially like biolabs and where they're located in the world. At the end, there are like many initiatives that are being put in place where university laboratories or other kind of laboratories that have access to, especially BSL2 laboratories, but some also just PCR machines, that can be requested, that can, could be located. That is really, really important. Also, make sure that you fill out the initial team survey, which is part of the onboarding step. So if you haven't yet done it, you can go back to the onboarding step, to the onboarding document. This document is in the announcement channel at the very beginning. It's in the top.
I just put the link in the chat.
You're awesome, Kemi. Thank you so much for that. We are also extending right now our hands to. We're looking for more medical professionals. We are getting in stages, like maturity stages for the project where we need to have also the review. And so if you happen actually to, and because they're extremely busy, they don't really sometimes have the time, to spend, the effort you're doing right now, on JOGL to do this kind of R&D, but we need also their expertise as reviewers, for example. And so if you happen to know some of them and they will be ready to spend, maybe like 20, 25 minutes, to help review a project or answer a couple of questions, that would be fantastic. Well, if you're running a project also on Slack, and there are many people on the Slack discussing creating new channels, and that's fantastic to see actually this kind of dynamics. Please also don't hesitate to create a project page on JOGL, as it will make your project much more visible and transparent to the rest of the world, what's going on. And also don't hesitate to create a JOGL profile if it's not the case also. And that will be also necessary if you want to ask for funding or resources from JOGL in the near future. And well, I think that's pretty much all. What I would like, it's been more than an hour now, so I think it's time actually to say goodbye. Would anyone actually would like to speak up and say like one more thing?
Sorry, I would just have a quick question about the recruiting, like medical professionals or doctors. Once again, that's, because that they don't have time and everything. So because I've only been, involved in one project. So how and it's probably not. So how do I direct? How would I? Where would I direct them, or where would I like? What would be the onboarding there if I was to contact someone?
Thank you, Tina, for asking. So that would be two main things that are complementary. One thing would be to have them create a JOGL profile where they put their skills. But this way, it's very easy for us to find them on JOGL, and we can actually contact them.
Okay.
If they have the time, it would be fantastic to have them join the Slack. If they don't have to put the notifications, but if they actually feel like compelled to actually join the Slack, that would be fantastic too. But having a JOGL profile is enough, as we'll be able actually to reach out to them when we need them.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, Tina, I also replied. I replied to you in private saying, also if you want in the Slack to have a medical community, like a build a channel, I think it would be very helpful for everybody to have somewhere where we can have medical doctors. And I think this person may also be interested in exchanging experience. So if you want to build a Slack channel, I think it would be a good idea.
Just to make a Slack channel, just for medical community, just for like so that you could direct them to that they have the general Slack channel, and then they have this.
We're creating expert groups, and so we'll have an expert group channel for medical skills on the Slack.
So that exists already?
I don't believe so. I think this is something that is being built up.
Okay, well, but it's being worked on. Yeah, I'm sorry,
yeah, it's pretty easy. I can just do it in the next 5
No,
minutes.
it's just, sorry, I just got information about someone having access to a biolab I asked about and got distracted. But so just making a Slack channel basically for medical professionals.
Reach out to any of us if you have any trouble or question.
Okay.
Happy to help.
Yeah, I will. Okay, thanks.
We have two people who raised their hand. Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hey, man. Hey. Just quick. I'm in Bangladesh, and I would like some kind of a mechanism to be connecting with people who are like located sort of internationally, whether it's in South Asia, East Asia, things like this, and then sort of branch out to be addressing local problems. So I don't know what the best way. If it seems like everything is create a channel, or maybe there is something set up for that. Yeah, that's about it. Because right now, the big thing for us is, can we order in a test so that we can start, we've got like a number of things that if we can be connected internationally somehow, and be ordering things in depending on where we are, etc. So yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good point. I was speaking with someone from Burkina Faso recently, and he had the same demand: is how do we like find other people from our own region who would like to to come together, and so what I've proposed to him is to create both a group and a project. So the project page is more dedicated to a specific thing to do, but the group is also there to be able to bring a community together. And so what you could do is you can create a group on JOGL and share the link to people in your local community, and then you can gather there and just have a look to the project that exists and how you can fork them and implement them locally. That would be a way. Otherwise, if you guys know anyone that would be interested in interacting with Eric and to help also the Bangladesh community, please do so. Eric, I think you have a profile on JOGL. They can reach out to you. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is just like a regular Google group that you're talking about, yeah?
Oh no, it's so on JOGL you can also create groups, which is kind of like a way. It's not a project. If you want just to get together, it's great for communities and organizations to exist on JOGL.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that would be great. And the one thing I just kind of thought, maybe this is for dev people or something, maybe there can be a tag system or something. I don't see any location system right now, but it can be something like you can click on a tag and see all the profiles from a given country or something like that.
Yes.
You know?
Maybe Leo can react to this.
Yeah, maybe I'll join the dev or something and put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say the easiest is to join the dev channel and like post those things there, and like there's so many people already, and like the conversation can be going. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And then we have Chris.
Hi there. Hi there. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. In about 12 hours, I will have a file of about 9 gigabytes that I need to publish somewhere. Can anyone point me at some hosting?
Maybe Leo, do you have ideas for that?
Yeah. Can you? Are you on the Slack?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Just contact me and we'll figure this out offline and not on everybody else's time. But yes.
Okay.
Just contact me on the Slack.
Okay, I will talk to you after the meeting.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think this is the end of this call. Again, thank you everyone. Before we go, we'll do this. You know, everything is recorded here, and so it's good to say that you know we're being a larger community, and that we'll be able to share, you know, what everybody is doing. And so if you could just say hi to the rest of the world, you know, that would be seeing us on the social medias, that would be fantastic. So for that, I will ask everyone to activate their video stream, and when I will telling you, just raise your hands. So we'll be waiting for everyone to activate their video stream. Yeah, almost there. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to do a screen capture. So to 3, you can just hey, say hi. So 1, 2, 3. Hey. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. We've done, I think, great progress, and there will be much more coming up in the next few days, especially with the grant process, and also the ability to locate more easily resources and people. That will be extremely helpful, I believe, to all of you. And yeah, let's make it happen, and let's prove that community science can work. Thank you, everyone.